Hi, I'm Safwan Izruna from IELTS Writing Prep, and here are my top 10 IELTS writing tips. Tip number 1. Learn about the band descriptors. So what are the band descriptors? The band descriptors are basically an explanation of what we need to do to get the band mark we want. Now, this document is available, online, and it's the public version, so anyone can download this version. There'll be a link to it within the description. So basically, we are being tested for 4 things, and here is an explanation of what you need to do for each of the 4 criteria and the band mark next to it. So after you have been marked for the 4 different criteria, you are given an average mark of all 4. It's very important that you go into the exam knowing exactly what they want from you. Okay, this will help you to prepare and to focus on weak parts. And if you're not getting the band score that you want, you can check the band descriptors and see exactly where you're going wrong. Tip number 2, practice with a time limit. Now, there's so many students that practice and produce some beautiful pieces of writing. And I've seen so many students, they send me their writing and it looks beautiful, and I would probably give them a band 7 or a band 8 for it. Come the exam, I ask them how well they did, and they tell me that they only managed to finish one part of the task. You do not want that to be you. Okay, so you need to practice, working within a time limit. Now, give yourself 20 minutes approximately for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Now, if after 20 minutes you have not finished task 1, just move on to task 2. Task 1 is only equal to 1/3 of the mark, and task 2 is equal to 2/3 of the mark. So there's no point, losing 2/3 of the mark to only gain 1/3. No matter how good your writing is, if you haven't finished both tasks, you probably will not get a good band mark. Tip number 3, improve your spelling. This is something that we can all improve. It's something that we can all work on. There are absolutely no excuses. Sometimes the spelling is so bad that it really interferes, with the meaning, and it makes it difficult for the corrector to even understand what you are saying. Learn spelling rules. Now I'm going to say especially for verbs, because in the English language there is absolutely no sentence that can be made without a verb. You cannot avoid writing verbs. It is just not possible. You could possibly have a sentence without a subject, maybe some type of imperative or something like read the book or stand up or something like that, but you cannot make a sentence without a verb. So make sure you know all forms of the verbs with S-E-S, I-E-S, past of irregular verbs, and then the past and past participles of irregular verbs. Make sure you know how to spell verbs. Another thing that you can do is practice dictation. Get an audio that you have a transcript for. Play the audio, pause, write. Play the audio, pause, write. And after you've done that for about 5 minutes or so every day, you need to pull out the transcript and check the words that you're getting wrong. Now, there are many students who are aiming for a 7 and an 8, and they're making very, very simple spelling mistakes. You'll be surprised if you don't do this type of dictation or you don't get your spelling checked. You will not be aware of the mistakes that you're making. Now, following this technique, you can actually know, what you need to focus on, what you're getting right, what you're getting wrong. What I would do is definitely write the words that you're spelling wrong on a separate notepad and practice. Write each word 20 to 30 times. As time goes on, you will realize that your spelling mistakes are getting fewer and fewer. Tip number 4. Prepare your vocabulary before writing. Now, the first thing that we want to do when we're in the exam is we want to understand the question. We want to make a simple plan. We want to have our ideas ready. But then you want to also get the vocabulary ready. So as soon as you've understood the question, you have a simple plan, and you have the vocabulary, it's just all about writing. That should be the quickest part. Now, what you should do is take a look at the question, underline the key words, and brainstorm as many synonyms as you can for each of the words. Take a look at different words and think of as many forms of the words as if it's a verb, maybe an adjective, maybe an adverb, maybe a noun, maybe list as many as you can. Now, this is something that I have practiced myself, because when I'm teaching students, I want to write my own model examples for them. And when I first started off, I found it difficult. It's not that I didn't know the words. I knew the words, but I just couldn't instantly think of a number of synonyms for a specific word. But after I practiced this, a number of times, I found that I could brainstorm words really, really quickly. So this will not just gain you marks for lexical resource, this will also help you to really, really save time. Now, after you have these words, of course, we don't want to be repeating the same word again and again. Now, if you can only think of 2 words, one time write one word and the next time write the other word. So we're kind of swapping them. Okay. Tip number 5. Learn the correct format for each task. Now, you will definitely lose marks if you're writing using the incorrect format. Many students load their essays, for example, and so on, with phrasal verbs and idioms and so on, which are really, really informal, and they lose marks for that. Especially task 1, the general task 1 with the letters, because you have different types of letters. You have the formal, you have the informal, and the semi-formal. You really need to know how to write in each of these 3 formats. Tip number 6, get the word count right. Practice writing on an official IELTS writing aptitude. Okay, and what this will do is this will help you to be able to know what 150 words look like, what the 250 words look like. After you practice a number of times, you'll really be easily be able to estimate if you've reached the word count or you haven't. Okay, one thing that you can do is you can practice writing with the exact same number of words on each line. So let's say, for example, you're writing using 10 lines. That means all you need to do is count 15 lines and you know that you have 150 words. 25 lines and you know that you have 250. Now, I've seen students within the exam and they're just counting and recounting. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Imagine counting 250 words and how much time that's going to take you. Tip number 7. Prepare for all question types for task 2. Now, whether you're general or academic, you're going to be doing the essay. And there are 5 different question types for this. Each question has a different focus and different requirements. Also, each question type has a different way of formulating the introduction and a way of structuring the essay. So make sure you're familiar with this. I've done a video, I'll put a link in the description for question types, and you make sure that you check that video out. Tip number 8. Learn how to use linkers correctly. If you use linkers correctly, you'll be able to gain marks for coherence and cohesion. You'll also be able to gain marks for grammatical range and accuracy. Okay. Grammatical range and accuracy, they want you to use complex structures. Complex structures are basically using subordinate conjunctions. Okay. And also, many students, they don't know the difference between a conjunction and between an adverb. So they make mistakes with that. Instead of putting a full stop and using an adverb, they're using a comma and a small letter. So this could also be affecting the mark that you're getting for punctuation. Make sure you get your linkers sorted out. Tip number 9, there is no right or wrong answer. When you go into an IELTS writing test, your English is being tested. And this is not an IQ test. We're not testing your intelligence, how clever you are, how interesting you are, or whatever. We're just testing your English. So with that in mind, we do not care about whether this answer is your opinion or not your opinion. Sometimes we have our own opinions about something, but the idea that we have, we just do not know how to explain it. We do not know how to support it. We do not know how to clarify it. We do have a strong feeling about this, but it's difficult for us sometimes to put these things into words. So what you need to do is you need to think of the easiest way of answering the question. And make sure you explain it, support it, and you clarify this. That is all that is important. Even if it's boring, as long as you're fulfilling the linguistic requirements, that is enough. And tip number 10, it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, I'm not saying go crazy with your spelling mistakes, go crazy with grammatical mistakes. But what I'm saying is we are being tested for two things. Some students go to extremes. They're like, oh, I'm not 100% sure to write the spelling of this word, so I'm just going to write the same word throughout the essay. And this way, you will not be getting a mark for range. We need to show the examiner how many different words that we know. We need to show the examiner how many different structures that we know. So if you're just focused on accuracy, we're going to be losing all the marks for range. Also, we do not want to sit down within the exam and let the time go by while we're thinking of the spelling of a word or of a grammatical structure. The exam might finish, the time might finish, and you still not have answered both parts of the task. Now, you can make odd mistakes here and there and still get a 7 or an 8. And even at a band 9, it says, you have some odd slips. Slips, they call them. So it's like, an odd mistake here and there. Thanks for watching. Now, please hit like to support the channel and hit subscribe to follow this series. Thanks for watching.